The stage was still, almost sacred. The grand Steinway stood at the center like a monument, its polished black surface catching the light in flashes, reflecting the hushed anticipation of the crowd. Then a voice snapped through the silence like a sudden crack of thunder. "Get her away from the Steinway. This isn't a charity concert." A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Conversation ceased. Forks paused halfway to mouths. The tension was instant and thick. Under the chandelier's golden light stood a girl, motionless, small, silent. Her white cane caught the stage light like a sword held with dignity. One hand hovered above piano keys, not touching them, just waiting, as if the music were already alive and she was listening for the exact moment to join it. She didn't flinch at the insult, didn't even blink. Her posture didn't scream resistance, it whispered power. From the side of the stage stepped the man who had spoken, Victor Bell, maestro, millionaire, idol, tyrant, a man whose every gesture was revered in the classical world. His silver hair was sharp and smooth, like an antique blade. His tailored tuxedo gleamed, but his eyes, icy, piercing, were fixed on the girl like a target. "She doesn't belong on that bench," he repeated louder now. "She's blind. She'll ruin it." The crowd murmured, some in agreement, more in discomfort. A voice, timid, trembling, rose from the back. "She just wanted to touch the keys just once." Victor snorted. "And we don't let a child fly a plane because they ask nicely. Get her down." Still the girl didn't move. She didn't need to see the crowd to feel their stares, some pitying, some cruel, some merely curious. But she wasn't afraid. She was home. "I'm sorry," she whispered, not to him, not to the audience, perhaps not even aloud. Victor waved her off as if swatting a fly. "No need for drama. We've all heard enough sob stories." Backstage, a security guard watched. Something about the stillness, the girl's quiet dignity, made him raise his phone and press record. He hadn't planned to, but something told him this moment mattered. The girl turned, cane tapping lightly, and walked away. No one clapped, no one followed, no one knew her name, not yet. 2 years earlier, at Eastbrook Conservatory, brilliance was expected. It was an institution where music didn't just play. It echoed through lineage, bloodlines, and bank accounts. Among the manicured gardens and marble columns walked future legends, the children of diplomats, CEOs, and concertmasters. And then there was Aria Bellamy, no name, no family, just a state guardian, a second-hand suitcase, and the faded memory of a mother's humming. She wasn't on the student registry. She had no official classes, no dorm. She slept in a room barely large enough for a cot, in the attic above the custodial wing. But every day she sat outside practice halls and lecture rooms, her fingers curled into her coat, tapping out rhythms on her knees. She felt music, in vibrations, in warmth, in the silence that followed a crescendo. One rainy afternoon, Professor Elcott, an aging yet fierce instructor, saw her. Eyes closed, drenched from the storm, her fingers conducting a concerto she had never formally learned. "Are you mimicking my lesson?" he asked. She opened her eyes, pale, cloudy, determined. "Trying to," she said. "I know I shouldn't be here." "Then don't waste time apologizing," he replied. "Just be accurate." And so began the strangest mentorship Eastbrook had ever seen. Elcott taught her by feel. He described scales as waterfalls, intervals as distances between heartbeats. He pushed her, tested her, believed in her. She responded like lightning to metal. But Eastbrook wasn't made for students like Aria. When the young virtuoso's auditions were posted, Elcott submitted her name without permission. No details about her blindness, only a note. She plays like silence learning how to speak. She was allowed to audition, at dawn, alone, on an upright piano with chipped ivory keys. Only one judge came. Aria didn't complain. She just sat and played. What emerged from her fingers was not just music, it was survival. The piece pulsed with every bruise she'd hidden, every night she'd fallen asleep to distant echoes. The judge offered no reaction, just left. That night, the janitor, old, arthritic, and gentle, uploaded his blurry recording to a forgotten YouTube channel. Blind girl plays Rachmaninoff like it's her last breath. At first, nothing. Then something. A music teacher in Poland shared it. A cellist in Brooklyn cried watching it. A DJ in Tokyo remixed a line from it into a trance track. By morning, it had 1 million views. By nightfall, 10. The girl who wasn't allowed to touch the Steinway was now trending worldwide. Eastbrook panicked, but it was too late, because the world had already heard her voice, even if it came through strings and hammers. An envelope arrived, no email, no phone call, embossed with gold. International Gala of Human Harmony. This year's theme, transcending boundaries through sound. It wasn't a request, it was destiny. Aria Bellamy was chosen to open the concert, the night that changed everything. The hall shimmered with opulence. Dignitaries filled the velvet seats. Critics prepared their pens. Cameras hovered in the air like bees. Victor Bell warmed up backstage, fingers flying flawlessly. Aria waited in the dark, barefoot, breathing, listening to the rhythm of footsteps, the hum of lights, the heartbeat of anticipation. Elcott stood beside her. "Are you afraid?" She smiled faintly. "I was. Not anymore. This isn't about them. It never was." A single spotlight. Aria entered like a shadow. No showy entrance, no sweeping gestures. She found the piano by touch. Saturday breathed, and then she spoke, through music, not Beethoven, not Mozart, something older, raw, new. The notes told a story of cold nights with no blankets, of rejection, silence, hunger, but also of wonder, of resilience, of fire rising from ash. Each chord was deliberate, trembling with emotion. Then, halfway through, a shift. Her fingers struck like thunderclaps. Her body moved with fury. She played as if to reclaim every moment she'd been dismissed. And then the storm passed. She ended with a lullaby, one not from any composer's book, but from the heart. When she finished, she didn't bow, just sat in stillness. The silence afterward lasted longer than the applause that followed, but when it came, it was roaring. Victor Bell stood frozen backstage, his hands trembling. By sunrise, Aria's name was everywhere. She refused talk shows, declined awards. She said little, but her silence rang louder than speeches. Aria didn't pursue fame. She pursued truth. She wrote pieces for people who hurt, sent compositions to prisons, played in hospitals. A teenager who lost her father received the empty chair. A war veteran heard the sound of standing. A child with no words sang through Aria's hands. Years later, in a quiet orphanage on a snowy morning, a woman arrived. Dusty boots, scarf trailing behind her. She said nothing, but her fingers found a cracked piano and played, software sweet, like a memory returning home. It was Aria. No cameras, no curtain call, just a handful of children, and a melody they would carry forever. You don't need sight to create vision. You don't need fame to shape history. And sometimes the quietest song becomes the loudest echo.